Hello everyone, this is Katie Colleen here. Welcome back, Colleen Clan, or if you're new, then come join the family. Today we're talking about my problem. My problem with con crunch. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the word con crunch, this is a term used in the cosplay community to describe when you are working on your cosplay right up against the deadline. Cosplayers may work on their cosplay the night before the con or even while the convention is going for cosplays they plan on wearing at that convention. It's pretty bad. I have a history with con crunch, unfortunately. And it's always bewildered me actually, because I have never procrastinated on school assignments and I have always been like right on time with deadlines. Also, I kind of feel like people with chronic illness in general are really good at planning their time. Not only do I have to plan what I'm gonna do every day, I also have to plan out my energy for each task. So I feel like I'm not that bad at planning, which is why I'm just always surprised when I'm con crunching. So I kind of thought that maybe I would like reflect on my previous con crunch times, reflect on the beginning of this problem, and then maybe together we can kind of figure out what's going on here. Colleen, there haven't been cons in a long time. Why are you even talking about this? Good question! So I had 2 years to make cosplays. Well, not quite 2 years, it's more like 18 months or whatever. But I had practically 2 years to make cosplays for con, right? You know, during the pandemic, during lockdown, I had a lot of time to make cosplays. And you know what Colleen is doing now? Con crunching! So I'm hoping to go to a convention this October, assuming that it's safe to do so. And I found myself once again con crunching. I really thought I was done with this after I had so much time to prepare, but here we are. This is my latest con crunch project. As my faithful viewers will know, I did make a lot of cosplays during the pandemic, but something in my brain 2 months before con was just like, let's make something new. Let's make something brand new. But con's only 2 months away. Let's make something new. And that's how I found myself con crunching yet again. So let's just review my history with con crunch, okay? Maybe you all can relate. Let me know in the comments if you can. It was Rose City Comic Con 2016. Just a baby Colleen. Didn't even know the meaning of the word con crunch. So for this con, I wore my Flash cosplay. It was one of the first cosplays I ever wore. At the time, I didn't really know how to sew, so my grandma was kind enough to sew my Flash costume for me. When she gave me the costume, she's like, by the way, if this bothers you, you may want to go back and hand tack down all the tiny little points of all the little lightning bolts. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, it looks fine as it is. But you know, I can also do that before con. When do you think I did that? Any guesses? On the car ride up to Rose City. So while I was in the car on the way to Rose City Comic Con, I brought a little hand sewing kit, and in the car, I think I was even wearing like my cosplay makeup and stuff. In the car, I was hand sewing all those little points down the day of the convention. So that's when it all started, okay? When I was just a baby cosplayer. And since then, I feel like there's been a period in my time as a cosplayer where I always left hand sewing till last, and then I would always do the hand sewing in the car on the way to the convention, which is like bad. So for CoronaCon 2017, I found myself in a similar situation. I was making the very first version of my Riku cosplay. This was the first cosplay I sewed for myself. It kind of looked like garbage. But I did my best. Like, okay, this was good for where I was. I tried to make a Final Fantasy cosplay out of thrifted materials. Not my brightest idea, but you know, I'm proud of baby Colleen. She did the best she could. Once again, I left the hand sewing till last, and I still needed to hand sew down her little wing things. She has this little metal part on her back that holds her little blue wings in place. I still needed to hand sew that down. And I was just like, oh, this will be super quick. I'm sure I can get it done during the car ride. Thankfully, I did get it done just in time for the con. But yeah, that's cutting it kind of close, don't you think? Like the day of con, hours before you're gonna wear it. Less than an hour sometimes. From that point on, I felt like I just kind of had a steady and yet toxic relationship with Con Crunch. My guess is it just comes from deciding to do cosplays way too late in the game. I feel like I'm pretty good at managing out my time to finish a cosplay in time, but if I start on the cosplay too late, or more importantly, if I get the idea to make that cosplay too late, that's when I end up with this chronic Con Crunch thing. Same thing happened for the very next Kuroneko Con, and you're gonna see a theme here where I Con Crunch for every Kuroneko Con. Don't know what it is with that con, but every time. And I think we were planning to wear like a Tokyo Mew Mew group at maybe RadCon, I don't know. And RadCon is like 6 months later, right? So I was like, I'm planning ahead. I'm doing good. Awesome job, Colleen. You're working on your cosplay like 6 months before we want to do this group. And I actually got so far into it, I was like, Kuroneko Con's in like 2 weeks, why don't I just take Miyuzakuro with me? See, this is the problem. It's not that I didn't plan it out, because if we were gonna wear these cosplays at RadCon, I was 6 months ahead. It's just something in my head was like, let's take something new. And that's what I did. So I stayed up a lot of nights. And during this time, I was still in college and I was working a part-time job, and I would just stay up late at night working on Miyuzakuro. And thus started the vicious cycle. Okay, I've had a few like really bad con crunches, and the one that sticks in my mind the most was again for Kuroneko Con. I'm not sure why this is the Con Crunch Con. The worst con crunch I can remember was Kuroneko Con 2019. And for this con, I was making a lot of costumes. So this was one of the first cons I attended with my husband, and I wanted to make him have matching costumes. And now that I think about it, probably another reason I always con crunch is because I kind of insist to help out with cosplays for other people in the group. So for most cons, I'm also styling an extra wig, maybe making an extra piece, so that whoever I'm attending with has something to wear. And so I found myself 1 week before con with 3 wigs to style. I don't know how this happened. Like, and furthermore, I was really getting into the groove of YouTube at this time. Not only did I have to style 3 wigs, I needed to film tutorials for 2 of them. And this is largely why I feel like my Shikamaru tutorials were not that great, is because the majority of them were made like after work on weeknights, last minute before the con. So I styled 3 wigs that weekend. And we also went to like the formal dance that Kuroneko Con has as Tamari and Shikamaru. So I also needed to like paint a mask for Shikamaru. And this was just so last minute. I remember packing for the con, like packing up all the costumes and painting the mask like after I had packed. And then the next morning it was dry and we put it in the car to drive to con. I don't know why I do this, like, why are you like this? Then other notable con crunches. For all of these I have videos, so you can see the video if you want to see me suffer. My Centauress build was also for that Kuroneko Con, and I have a video where I tried to make it in 1 day and failed miserably. The pandemic was not good for Con Crunch. Turns out with virtual conventions, you can basically be actively attending the convention while you're sewing your costume for the next day. So I also have my Adora 1 day build, which I made for an online con, and I was actually actively attending the con, like, I think as I was working on this. It was a crazy time. Which brings us to today. Like a month or 2 before con, I just get it in my head like, I need to make something new, and here we are. I'm making a new Supergirl cosplay. Colleen, don't you have a bunch of other Supergirl cosplays? I sure do. I just decided I needed to make this one, and it needed to be brand new for Lilac City. After delving into my past, what do I think about Con Crunch and my problem with it? I don't necessarily think it's a procrastinator's problem. It seems like practically the definition of procrastination, but procrastination assumes that you have a task to finish by a deadline and you just put off doing that task until the very end. And there are some con crunchers who are that type, the procrastinator type. I happen to be a very special type of con cruncher. So imagine instead of getting the task way before the deadline and procrastinating, you are given the task like 3 weeks before the deadline. And that's my type of con crunch. That's me. That's entirely me. Instead of like giving myself the task and then putting it off, I'm just giving myself the task right before con. And if you've also experienced the phenomenon of the non-procrastinators type of con crunch, where you just come up with the idea to make a cosplay right before con, and decide you gotta do it, let me know. I wanna know what type of con cruncher you are. Before I check out, I just wanted to give you guys a little update about what's going on in Colleen Cosplay Central. And what's going on is we're moving. I might be absent for a week or two while we're moving. I do have a few pre-recorded videos in this space, so you'll probably see another video or two in this space, but we're gonna be packing up everything and moving to a new house. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super stressed though, and I just wanted to let you guys know, maybe I'll be on a little hiatus, maybe not. We'll see how fast I can edit. So, thank you all for listening to my problems. Stay strong, my fellow con crunchers. Stay strong. And I'll see you all in the next video.